Hello everyone, welcome to Healing Talks. My name is Carla and I will be your guide through these inspiring dialogues. In Healing Talks, we explore the meeting point of spirituality and science, ancient wisdom and modern understanding. Let's dive in. Welcome everyone. Today's guest is Rachael Love, a healer, sound therapist, energy medicine practitioner, and I can say medicine woman because I see her and I see how beautiful she is. Welcome, Rachael.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me. I'm so excited to be here.
For a start, tell us a little bit about your journey, how you started to be a medicine woman, how your spiritual journey started.
My spiritual journey started really spontaneously. It was unexpected. And basically, I moved to the United Kingdom from Australia about 7 years ago. And it was my goal to travel countries, but instead, I ended up traveling my inner landscape and different dimensions. And it was a journey basically that I decided to go into my own healing. And I was really, really drawn originally to NLP, hypnotherapy, a few of these different modalities. And I kept seeing cacao ceremonies everywhere. And I was like, oh, this plant medicine sounds really beautiful. And my friend, who I was talking to at the time, she was like, oh, I'm going to do this cacao training. And I was like, that's really weird. I feel really called to that. So I ended up doing a cacao training with a shamanic healer in the United Kingdom. And that just took me into a shamanic journey basically from there. And I went and sat with a few different plant medicines, and it all just unfolded from there. So I never expected to actually end up being a shamanic practitioner, but it was actually this lady who said to me, I think this is actually what you're meant to be doing alongside your NLP, your coaching and stuff. This is the thing you should focus on. And I was like, wow, at the time. But when I finally started doing ceremonies, it was like, wow, this feels like second nature. There's something here, and I absolutely love it. I absolutely love seeing people transform. I love the plants. I think they're such beautiful allies. And I think as well, it's in the day and age we're living in as well, it's such a beautiful way to bring us back to connecting with nature, which in my opinion is where we are all, I think, a little bit disconnected. So, yes, that's my journey.
Thank you for sharing. These journeys always just happens somehow to everyone,
Yeah.
and I'm so happy I'm not the only one. And the Asian plants, the Asian medicines, the plant medicines, can you tell me, on your opinion, what is bringing it, I can say, back here in our daily lives?
That's a really beautiful question because I really feel that we've had this period as a collective where we were so disconnected from nature and from Mother Earth. And I really love the saying that if I hurt, you hurt, but if I heal, you heal, and the interconnectedness that that shows us of everything around us. And I feel that maybe since the pandemic, when people were having to stay a little bit more indoors and maybe having to go inwards into their inner landscapes a little bit more, I feel like that activated something maybe within some of us that highlighted that nature is actually a really beautiful tool for us to help heal our bodies, heal our mind, body, and soul. And every single plant, I love the plants because they all have such a beautiful personality. They're all so different, but they're all such amazing allies in showing us how we can heal and how we can transform, and also how to bring in self love, self awareness as well, bring in our intuition. And I feel, as well as a collective, astrologically, we've gone through so many shifts as well in the last decade. And I think as well, bringing it back to the eagle and condor prophecy that the indigenous have had for so long, we've had this condor and eagle coming together now. And the indigenous have prophesied this for so long. And I feel like we're in that period now where the masculine and the feminine are coming together as one. We're flying as one, and we're sitting with each other and actually listening to each other, and how we can help each other, and how that can then ripple out and help the whole collective.
Wow, amazing. When you were saying I heal, you heal, I felt like we are all one mycelium under, and you know how trees communicated through their roots. So when you heal, you're sending it through your roots to my roots, and
I love that.
maybe we people work like that as well. What do you think?
100%. I love that. I think that's such a beautiful way of explaining it, and a beautiful metaphor there. Because I really truly believe that we're all cells of one big consciousness. And when we're doing the work, that actually is all we need to do to help others, because that is actually helping them too, through us doing our own inner work. And I really feel as well, like, not only does it help ourselves, but it helps our whole ancestral lineage before us, in front of us. And it inspires others as well to maybe potentially tap into their own inner wisdom, their intuition as well.
You mentioned prophecy of condor and eagle, which I really love and study for. I wanted to say centuries, but maybe it's true. For centuries, 4 years in this
Yeah.
life. And they say the time when condor meets eagle on the sky, the new age will come. When the condor represents the indigenous and the eagle our modern world, like the white people. And sometimes I feel we are losing, we, modern world, that we are blindly following the old traditions, and on the other hand, the indigenous want to catch us in our modern world. How would you describe this prophecy, this cooperation in your own way? Because we need this cooperation to be profound. This connection needs to be profound for the whole.
100%. And I mean, this is just my interpretation of the prophecy, because I'm sure there are so many different meanings to it. But how I believe what I believe the meaning of it is the indigenous have such a profound way at healing disease, and they have been able to do this with their plant medicines, with their healing modalities for centuries. And in the West, what we're experiencing is more, I would say, mental health issues. And so when we've been going to the indigenous, they've been more profound at healing physical ailments within the body. But now the West, we're bringing more of a mental ailments in the body over. And I feel we're coming together now as one, and working within that space to adapt both our methods to ensure that we are healing and we are transforming as a collective, because how things maybe used to be done are maybe not what are needed in the West, and what we use in the West maybe isn't what the indigenous would usually use as well. So I feel like it's a beautiful adaptation, and a beautiful understanding that we're able to have with each other, to come together and adapt as one, because really we are all together on this beautiful journey as a collective. And that's how I see it. And I see as well, the condor is the feminine. It's the feminine. And I feel really we're in such a masculine driven society, especially in the West, where we're really tapping into hustle and grind all the time. And I feel it's the feminine that really is what is needing to come back to society, to the collective, this beautiful energy of connecting with the earth, but also connecting with our inner rhythms, our intuition, our inner power, and maybe something else that the eye can't see as well, tapping into that and starting to realize that there's more to it than the eye can see. And I feel when we start to balance these energies within the collective, it's also a balancing of these energies within ourselves as well. It's kind of like what is out is also within. So that's how I see it.
Thank you for mentioning the masculine and feminine force, because you will lead with your partner Leo workshop at Healing Festival. The workshop is Shiva Shakti workshop, which is like balancing feminine and masculine. This is what I think. You will tell us what
Yeah.
it really means, but tell us more about these two powerful forces. What can a man imagine above these terms? What does it mean, really?
Yeah, that's a beautiful question. And I see these beautiful energies as working in polarity and in harmony. And when we can bring them into working in polarity, into this harmonized energy, it can really help transform our inner landscape, but also how that ripples out within our relationships, within our friendships, all of our family members, and just in life in general. And I see the masculine as the energy of direction, especially when we're working with plants in particular. They're usually quite direct. They're going to say, this is the way. And I see the feminine as more as the intuition, spontaneity. It doesn't necessarily have a direction. It's creativity. It's very linked to the sacral chakra, to our sexual energy as well, and to just the flow, the ebbs and flows of nature. There's not really a direction. And I think the feminine as well, maybe that's potentially why you can see with certain goddesses like Kali Ma, where it is all different aspects of the feminine. It's not just, uh, potentially this beautiful soft energy. It also has the ability to be fierce, but in a beautiful, loving, protective way. And the workshop we're going to be doing is going to be really tapping into balancing these beautiful energies within ourselves. And I'm so passionate about polarity because it was such a big journey that I went on myself. And I believe that this is actually how I manifested Leo into my life, because I was very, very tapped into my masculine energy. I was very much going. And I was not really listening to my feminine energy, into the creativity. And I feel, especially as women, when we're not tapping into the feminine, it can wear us out. We can start to feel really drained. And also, just there can also be, for me, it came through as anxiety, a disconnect maybe from my heart and from my body as well. And a disconnect definitely from my natural cycles, from my moon cycle. And the more I started to tap into the feminine, and I worked with a lot of feminine plants to help guide me with this, the more I recognized that I was also wearing a masculine shield. And that had been placed there to protect me out of, fear or certain experiences I may have had as a child. And the more I started to then tap into that masculine shield as well and heal those masculine wounds, the more I was able to tap more into the feminine aspect of myself and drop that masculine shield and allow myself to be in flow. I used to have such a guilt for even just resting. I always felt guilty for resting. And I think this is a big thing for women and men to, we sometimes feel this guilt when we're not doing something. Maybe we have to be doing something all the time, or because that masculine energy we live in society is very much, in my opinion, about success and what you've accomplished. But really, everything is already within us. And this beautiful journey has really, really been, I would say, the inspiration for me bringing this energy into women's circles. And also we're going to be doing this in the Shiva Shakti workshop as well, because I really am passionate about bringing people back to this feminine energy and also accessing their masculine energy from maybe a different perspective. And I think even, I'm not a man, but I've worked with lots and lots of men over the years. And I've seen this as well, where there is potentially a little bit of maybe a disconnect from the intuition, from tapping into modalities like meditation, yoga, where there's an option to slow down and really actually go inwards and listen. I really see the masculine, they say in psychology, is the mind, and the feminine is the heart. And I feel like it's all about balancing. How can we balance our mind and also our heart? Because in my view, the heart is the compass. That really is the way forward, and how we can actually, the heart's never going to guide you in the wrong direction. So that's kind of how I see it all. And in this beautiful Shiva Shakti workshop, we're going to be working. There's going to be, I'm not going to give too much away because there's a few surprises, but we're going to be working together as one to really cultivate a beautiful energy so that we can unify this within the group space, but also within ourselves.
Thank you so much. I feel sometimes we are losing ourselves in one way or another, like in masculine or feminine. And we feel it, we know it, like I'm in too much pressure, or I feel like I'm dying, I don't want to do anything, but I want to, but I don't know how. Do you have any tips or like recommendation what we can do like right now, right here, to balance these two energies? What really helps as soon as possible if we need it, if we realize it, okay, I'm in a hurry, so it's too much masculine, or I'm so lazy, but I feel something's moving and I want to do something, but I'm not able to really do the first step or do the move. What can help us?
Such a beautiful question. And I get asked this by clients who come into my spaces, and I think the one thing I say to them is, where are you honoring both these energies in your day-to-day life? And where are you creating space to honor your feminine, and where are you creating space to honor your masculine? And honoring the feminine could be creating a morning ritual or an afternoon evening ritual, maybe before you go to bed, where you might write some affirmations down, you might write some gratitude, you might journal, you might meditate, you might sit with a beautiful medicine like cacao or blue lotus and connect with yourself in that way. And I feel this is a beautiful way to create an actual space for that feminine energy to come in on a daily basis. I also feel, though, with your question, that sometimes, like you said, we just want to rest and relax, and we can't get maybe into that energy of go, go, go. And my answer to that is, I feel actually sometimes it's maybe placing our hand on our heart and actually asking, like, what do I feel is right for me right now? Because I feel sometimes we're like, I should be doing this, or I need to do this. And it's also having that option to really tune into our bodies and be like, actually, what is my body telling me right now? Because I feel so often we don't listen to our body and we push against its natural rhythms of what it's trying to tell us. And I feel as well, it's I got taught this really beautiful meditation once, where it's when you allow the thoughts to kind of come through, but you don't judge them. And I think every single emotion we have is valid. Every single emotion is a different vibrational frequency. It's trying to teach us something and show us something. And I see them as little downloads as well. And it's also recognizing these emotions. Maybe if we're feeling sadness or we're feeling even guilt, maybe for not moving, it's like, okay, tapping into the guilt and being like, okay, why do I feel guilty? And actually asking ourselves, and then asking ourselves, maybe, I work with timeline therapy. Asking ourselves a beautiful question is, when was the first time that I can remember in my life that I might have experienced this emotion? And going back to that aspect of ourselves and maybe having a little conversation with our inner child or whatever age comes through, and seeing what they need in that moment. But I also feel we're all in society as well, trying to sometimes, especially on the healing journey, and it's something I've been guilty of myself, finding an emotion and being like, oh my goodness, where is this coming from? I need to work out the answers. And I think sometimes it's actually, the beauty is to just go, do you know what? I don't know the answers to everything. And it's detaching from that. So if we're in that space where we're like, I just feel like I can't move right now, I think giving ourselves actually the space to be like, do you know what? I'm going to lay here for 10 minutes and I'm actually going to just detach from this. I find actually unblocks the energy, because it's when we detach from it, it creates that space for us to be like, actually, you know what? Okay, I'm ready now. I've listened to myself. I've given myself that grace. So I've just gone off on many tangents, but I feel, yeah, that's what I would do.
I love the idea of not knowing. Just allow myself that I don't know, and it's okay. Sometimes we really have to know, and we are not finding those answers. And I also love that idea when you were saying just find a spot to honor the feminine or masculine. It's a really nice practice. For example, when we have a really busy day, to find that spot, even 5-10 minutes, to honor the passive, the feminine energy. And you mentioned women's circles, which I love so much, and you will be guiding one at Healing Festival too. Women's circles, or red tents, whatever we call it, they were here, I guess, from the moment when the human race started. But we kind of lost the connection, and now we are trying to rebuild it. Why is it so profound for us? Why is it so profound for women to gather?
I love this saying, and I don't know who to quote, but this when women gather together, magic happens. And I just feel there's such a power when we unite as one. And I think in society as well, especially now, there is such a competitive energy that comes through from the shadow aspect of the feminine within the collective, of that we have to compete with each other, or that we have to be better than each other, and all of this. And I feel, for me personally, on my own journey, it disconnected me from going into these spaces because I felt like maybe it wouldn't be comfortable for me. And I think it's so important that we gather as women because for me, our voice is the most powerful thing we possess. I see it as our own energetic blueprint, like our fingerprint, literally. We all have a beautiful voice, whether that be through speaking, whether that just be through our presence, whether that be through singing, whether that be through playing instruments, whatever it is, I believe women have a voice. And I love women's circles. I love facilitating them. I love seeing women come in and absolutely blossom and bloom and see their heart start to expand and see them start to step more into their power. And there was a women's circle I led a while ago, and I'm not going to obviously go into details because of confidentiality, but 3 people in the space, someone shared something that was going on in their life. And another lady then in the space shared, I'm actually going through the same experience. And it turned out it was something I was also going through myself. And maybe had been getting a few signs from the universe, but hadn't really realized that that was the messages I was meant to be receiving. And this beautiful container opened up with all the women in the space. And I think it really just highlighted to me that our vulnerability is such a strength. And it also really highlighted that when we come together and share in this way and sit as a group, we are actually all moving through very similar things. And, you know, whether that be an experience we're going through, relationships, maybe motherhood, our moon cycles, I think there's such a power in us connecting as a group and knowing that we are held by other women, because especially, you know, with in society now, it's very masculine driven. And I really feel there's such a beauty and power in bringing the feminine back into leadership roles as well. And I think they're just such a beautiful container for women to step more and more into their power. So I'm really excited to be facilitating the Women's Circle at Healing Festival. I feel so honored to be the guide for the women in that space. And for me as well, you know, the drum and the voice and singing as one group, you know, the drum in shamanism is known as the heartbeat of Mother Earth. And for me, it was such a great ally in helping me connect back to my voice and stepping more and more into my power. And so there will be a little bit of that coming into the space at Healing Festival. I'm going to bring that in. And I'm really excited to sit with all the women and just see what happens.
I just want to say, women of the world, unite. What else? And one last thing, you will also facilitate Blue Lotus ceremony at Healing Festival. I don't know much about this medicine. What can we expect, and what's the power, sacred power of this medicine? I've only heard that it, of course, it has a really strong spiritual connection, but I use it sometimes for conscious dreaming. To make my dreams vivid, but that's all I know, and that's all for sorry. That's all for all. Sorry, I just cannot. We will cut this part.
That's okay.
So, yeah, tell us more about Blue Lotus.
Thank you so much. Oh, I'm really, really excited and again honored to be holding the Blue Lotus ceremony at Healing Festival. And Blue Lotus is such a beautiful plant, and its origins go back to ancient Egypt. And a little story about Blue Lotus, it was actually associated with the god Ra, the sun god Ra, and this is linked to the cycle that this beautiful flower would go through on a daily basis. It would, in the nighttime, it would go back down into the mud, and at sunrise, it would start to come back out of the mud and open up. And they revered this plant as the plant of rebirth and regeneration. And this was because of the yellow part of the flower. They saw that associated with the god Ra, the sun god Ra. And so they really, really held it in such a high regard, and they used it in a lot of their rituals and ceremonies. And I also really think this is a beautiful metaphor for the cycles of life that we go through. And this plant is a beautiful ally in guiding us through our own death, rebirth, regeneration cycles that we go through. And also, I think it's a beautiful guide in highlighting to us too that every single day is a new opportunity. We go through that death rebirth cycle with the sun as well every day. When we go to sleep, every day is a new page of a book and a new opportunity to start again, to do something new. So we're given that gift of a new beginning with every sunrise. And this beautiful plant as well, it is linked to the third eye chakra. So it really helps activate this aspect of consciousness, opening our ability to tap into our intuition, and also connecting us to our crown chakra, which connects us up to the divine, to our spirit guides, or whatever it is we believe in. So it opens us up. And I believe that helps us with more self-awareness and with more understanding. We're able to go inwards and really, really look at our internal landscapes, maybe from a different perspective. And this beautiful plant as well they used it as well with, it was linked to the goddess Isis. And she is the goddess of death, rebirth, motherhood, and magic. And if you know the story of Isis, she brought Osiris back from the dead. And I think there is a little bit of a link there too with this beautiful flower as it goes through the same death rebirth cycle. So it was also used in a lot of ceremonies for the goddess Isis. And I just believe as well, when we use Blue Lotus in a ceremonial way, like you said, it's beautiful at activating our dream state. But I think it has such a profound message and is such a profound ally in helping guide us through maybe the shadow aspects of ourselves and those inner death rebirth processes that we go through, maybe on a daily, monthly, yearly basis. And we're able to sit with this beautiful plant ally, take its teachings, and really sit in a way that is deeply connected to it in presence when we sit in the ceremony, rather than just sitting without having the intention, and connect with it to help actually have it as a guide, seeing it as a guide to show us maybe where we can transform, or knowing that we are also held by the plant spirits, by the divine. We are not doing this alone. So I feel like it's such a beautiful ally, and its journey that it takes every day in the river, going down and up through the mud, is a really beautiful metaphor for showing us that, we're all connected in this way. Even the plants are going through that. So that's how I see Blue Lotus. I'm really, really excited to facilitate the ceremony. I am really, really excited to bring in some of the ancient Egyptian aspects, especially the goddess Isis, and bring her into the ceremonial space as well to see if she can also help us connect with some of the divine feminine wisdom.
Thank you. Thank you so much for sharing the story of the Isis. I didn't know that. And thank you for sharing your wisdom. One last question. As we spoke a lot about feminine energy and women's at all, if you could share one message with all of the women of the world, the message which you feel every woman needs to hear, what it would be?
I feel like that is such a big question, and there's so much I could say on this, but I feel what's coming through for me is your voice is your superpower. And as I said earlier, it's your unique energetic blueprint, and it is so needed in this world. And also, just being a woman is enough. You are the void between life and the dead. We birth life through that void. And I think there is something to be said for that. We are so, so powerful, and that alone is enough. And I just think just being a woman, just being your presence is enough. And I feel, nothing else is needed. Just your presence is enough. And I think as well, something that if I ever have a daughter would share with her is teaching women that it's more important to use their voice than to be polite. Obviously within reason, but your voice is needed. And do not shy away from being your authentic self. Authenticity is the highest vibration, and your authenticity is needed.
Yoo-hoo! Yoo-hoo! Thank you so much, and I will say it again. Women of the world, unite! Thank you so much, Rachel. I cannot wait to attend, hopefully, all of your ceremonies and circles and workshops at Healing Festival. See you there, and thank you for your time. You're amazing, and I cannot wait to meet you personally.
Thank you so, so much. It's been such a pleasure, and I can't wait to meet you in person as well. Thank you.
Thank you.